moment that a standoff
Looks like
occurs.
he's slowing down here, maybe running out of gas here, Mark, and you're right about that. Orange County has a frequency that, a mutual aid frequency that all of the local jurisdictions are monitoring as we continue to make our way southbound here, but it looks like this may be coming to a slow end here as he really starts to back off the gas pedal here, swerving a little bit, now over to the right, now over the left, and you can see something has happened inside. Whether there's a struggle for the wheel there or something else is happening in the driver's seat, this car is now driving erratically on the freeway, switching lanes back and forth, left to right here through this construction zone at a very slow pace here. The speeds have dropped off dramatically down to under 20 miles per hour, doing S-turns as he continues southbound. It certainly appeared for a minute that the fuel situation was becoming an issue, but there may be something else happening inside that vehicle because obviously, as you could tell, somebody is either swerving or fighting for the wheel there, and it looks like we have some more hand gestures coming out of the driver's side. I can tell you they are now working under the information that they believe this person is heavily armed and dangerous with multiple firearms inside the vehicle.
Well, he's come to a stop.
That is the information. It's now come to a complete stop, presumably out of gas, and this is how it looks like this pursuit is coming to an end. But how it plays out from here is just terrifying when we consider the information that we've been able to gather so far.
Yeah, that information, just to go over it again while we watch this for people who are maybe just tuning in late, a report of a handicapped woman in the back. That's an unconfirmed report, but that's what we were hearing. We'll find out. Wow.
He's gesturing.
So
it looks like some sort of gang signs being passed out the window. So he's, you know, and then you see on the passenger side somebody was sticking their hand out the window. Now you see a lot of CHP officers there, directly, you know, some distance behind now. Is he opening the door? They like to have you open the door from the outside so they can see at least one hand.
Yep,
there he goes.
So it looks like he may be complying here. CHP has been very ready for this moment right here. You could see upwards of a half a dozen units behind him now, patrolmen with their guns drawn, and that helicopter circling overhead here as it looks like, it appears that the driver is complying with their commands. It looks like he is now out of the vehicle and he has his hands in the air, and hopefully that continues to be the case here as long as he complies with officers' commands here. Hopefully, if he does that, nobody will get hurt. But we do have still a suspect in the front passenger seat, and a victim in the back seat, and I could see both of their hands and arms out of the passenger side of the vehicle here. So you can see it looks like everybody is cooperating here, and the driver now lifting up his shirt to show that he doesn't have anything on him. But the best information that the CHP had is that he was armed, that these suspects were armed, and that there are firearms in the vehicle. That's what they were told, and that's the condition that they're operating under. But as long as he cooperates and continues to comply with their commands here, then nobody will get hurt. And you can see he is now slowly making his way, walking backwards in the direction of CHP with his hands on his head in the middle of the freeway. A complete traffic break, nobody getting by here, and we'll see how he continues to move back in their direction and eventually placed under arrest.
So we're still on the 405 here, right, Chris?
Yeah, we are on the 405,
near the
just
5.
shy of the 5. Yeah, we just never made it to the 5 freeway. This is going to be still in Irvine is where we are.
Yeah, you know, that back and forth movement that he was doing, we've seen this before. Actually, Michelle, you and I covering a pursuit where somebody was starting to run out of gas, and that's a tactic people employ to try to swish that gas around in the tank to try to get just a little bit more mileage out of their tank. Of course, it doesn't work, and so that's what happened here. The gas was all used up. He is still backing toward the police. He's complying at this point, down on his knees the way he's supposed to be, hands clasped behind his head. They're going to move in and take him into custody. He is complying to a T with what they're asking him to do. Excuse me.
The big question is why? Why put all of these lives in danger? Why would somebody do this, you know? It's just a question that we ask ourselves during every pursuit and even after the pursuit. And of course, they all have their own reasons, but just seems like, it just seems so senseless to take law enforcement on a ride like this. You know you have limited fuel, you know, with no clear indication of where you're going. You know, some folks do, and this one certainly doesn't appear that he did. I mean, considering where we started and where we ended up, it was really only a matter of time.
Yeah.
So we can expect the next person to get out will be the person in the passenger seat in the front, who was described earlier as a suspect. So I would imagine that would be the next person they want to get out, especially having heard that the person in the back might not be able to get out on her own.
Right, right. That's also very interesting, because they will have to probably, if that information is correct, and we don't have confirmation of that yet, but if it is correct, they're going to have to approach the vehicle very carefully and potentially have to remove her manually from the vehicle if that's the case.
And they'll be prepared
Passenger
for...
doors open.
Yep, there it goes. So this is all, you know, the level of tension seems to be going down. This is very helpful that he's complying. The driver certainly did. The passenger, it appears, is complying, although he just closed the door again.
Maybe he's, who knows, making sure he doesn't have any guns on him before he gets out. It's unclear. You know, Chris, you were saying there were reports they were heavily armed, so that's entirely possible.
Yeah, and you wonder where that information came from, but they seem pretty confident about it, so I would imagine maybe it came from one of the victims or one of the victims' friends, perhaps. If this is if these suspects are known to the victims, that certainly seems to stand to reason. How they have so much information about these suspects. Apparently, these are known gang members, according to CHP, and again, these are not strangers. These all apparently are, at the very least, acquaintances between the suspects and the potential victim in this case.
Right, and it does raise questions about how this all happened, what the motive was, what was going on here, and just a host of questions about what happened and caused all this to happen. You see him trying to comply with the officer's commands. He's keeping his hands visible the entire time. It's probably hard for him to get out. You know, that's not normally how you would get out of a car, with both hands on the outside of it like that.
And you saw him reaching for the door. At this point, there's really no reason to reach for the door. It's just a matter of stepping out of the vehicle. So we certainly don't want to see him reaching for that door. It does look like he still has his hands up on the edge of the door rim there. But certainly you would expect that they are asking him to slowly step out of the vehicle at this point.
And
so
you see the victim in the back with her hand sticking out, just one hand.
It's really odd that this is taking so long for him to get out of the car.
Maybe there's a conversation happening.
Yeah.
it is odd, and I would imagine, I would imagine that there is a conversation happening. It may be a little bit difficult for him to hear those commands, especially with all the helicopters overhead. That may be a part of the problem here. In fact, you can see them starting to inch closer so that so he could hear them. You got to remember, they are talking to him via a PA system that is very, very loud. But certainly with all of the helicopters overhead here, I would imagine it's still pretty difficult to hear, and he doesn't want to make any wrong moves. Looks like a looks like a female in the back, and a male suspect in the passenger seat there. Two of them are talking.
Heavily tatted, by the way. You can see his arms, and it even looks like he's even got tats on his hands.
You're right about that. Yep. You can clearly make that out now. And why he is not stepping out of the vehicle is certainly concerning. But at least he's got his hands out the window. I would not. Okay, here looks like no. I thought I saw some movement there, but no. He's still sitting in the passenger seat. You got to wonder how CHP will handle this if he doesn't get out soon here. No reason for him not to just step out at this point. I mean, the driver is out. The driver is now in custody. The pursuit is over. There's no more gas in the tank. It's just a matter of communicating. And sometimes, you know, there could be other reasons, maybe a language barrier, we don't know, but it certainly seems like he's taking his sweet time for sure.
Yeah, maybe enjoying his last moments of freedom. Now we're seeing the woman's door open. The rear door is open now.
You have to wonder, with all of the
before.
bottles that were being thrown out, whether those may have had maybe more than water inside those bottles, and whether anybody here is under the influence. Now that female victim now stepping out of the vehicle on her own accord, which is encouraging. She is now also complying with officers, and that suspect now pulling that door back in. So clearly,
he's lighting
he's
up
having
a cigarette.
He's lighting up now, so
something.
clearly it seems like he may be under the influence. I was just about to make the point that we don't know what those liquids were that were being thrown out of the car, but they very well may have been alcohol involved here, and it does appear that that person may be under the influence. You can see him lighting something up, and now the victim, the suspected victim, walking backwards on her own accord. Now, we had heard that she may have been paralyzed. It certainly doesn't appear to be the case as she continues to step backwards in the direction of CHP. She will be out of harm's way here in just a second, but I have a feeling extricating that passenger out of the car may get interesting here in the next couple of minutes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, she's
but with him
down
the only one in the
ground.
car, that certainly minimizes the risk here. So we'll see how this all plays out. Fortunately, they've got her out of harm's way, and all of those CHP patrolmen with their guns still drawn and squarely aimed in the direction of that pursuit vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people stuck in traffic right now because of this guy. These people who are causing a lot of mayhem in Southern California
now putting
tonight.
his hat on now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, we've seen this before where they try and enjoy one last smoke before they decide to give it up, but it's only a matter of time now, and looks like he tossed something else out the window, maybe another cigarette.
Yep, he just flicked it. Yep.
There it goes. And maybe this is it. You can see the passenger side door now being pushed out again. Never should have been pulled back in, and that's really ominous for police, but you can see, looks like maybe this time, maybe he's willing to just step out of the vehicle. We'll see here in just a second.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe he's too wasted to get out.
Yeah,
Possibility.
it's possible. And he is just he's kind of hanging his arms out there. He's just not making a move. It's a little disturbing.
Where's that from?
I wonder what he's thinking about right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so the word from the airship now, the CHP airship, is that he may be the one that has a disability.
Oh.
And so that might be what's causing the delay here. And so if that's the case, if they have that information confirmed, if they are confident in that information, we may see them approach the vehicle themselves here, and that will be interesting. But he may have been the one possibly with a disability. You can see once again now closing that door, still fortunately with his hands and arms out of the window there, but closing that door is really a bad move, a really unwise move on his part to close that door. That is really going to raise the stakes here for CHP, and they are ready. I mean, you can see they have been ready for this moment ever since he got back on the 110 freeway and eventually onto the 405 freeway. We saw lots of units join this pursuit. They were all ready to pick it up, and then they handed it off to the Santa Ana office, and numerous CHP officers ready to take him down and use whatever force necessary if it comes to that. But hopefully this guy decides to think better of it and just give himself up. Unclear what state of mind he's in, whether he's under the influence or what his disability is, if there is any disability. But man, they are ready for him. But seeing him close that door is really, really concerning, and you can see them now moving closer and closer. They may be in a position here where they have to extricate him some other way. But he's really got to close that. He's really got to open that door. Here comes an arrest team. They have got a shield. An arrest team of 3 CHP officers now approaching the vehicle. Again, he has that door closed. They really want to open that door, whether they open it or he opens it. They are now clearly giving him instructions, and he better start complying. You can see, fortunately, we still have full visibility of his hands. Now the officer opening the door, and they're going to pull him out here, presumably any second now.
Right, and if he is in fact the one who's disabled, that would explain why he hasn't gotten out. And so the tricky part here is they've got to pull him out if he is in fact disabled or paralyzed. And part of the consideration is whether there are any weapons in the vehicle. Yeah,
there he is, suspect being dragged out, being proned out. 3 officers involved, taking him down now, and he will be frisked immediately for any weapons, and then handcuffed before they do anything else. You can see it looks like there's a wheelchair being pulled out of the back of the vehicle, and it looks like he is the only other person inside the vehicle. So now officers assembling a wheelchair that they've pulled out of the trunk of this Toyota Venza, and now he will probably in all likelihood be placed in that wheelchair if indeed he is the one that is paralyzed, which appears to maybe be the case based on all of the information that we've been hearing here. So finally, everybody out of harm's way. All of the suspects are out of the car. The victim has been taken in. She is out of harm's way, and he is now being placed in this wheelchair. A dramatic end here, guys. This could have ended so terribly, and fortunately, this has come to a peaceful end.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Click the ABC7 logo to subscribe to our Eyewitness News YouTube channel.